See. Hey guys. Hi. Hi. Hello. Let's wait for a few minutes, then we can start the class. Hey. गिटहब आज किरट भैया नहीं है, सो किरट आप लोग गिटहब शेयर करके।
Who said
भैया आ
that?
गए। हाय भैया।
I'm kidding. It'll only be you. I'm just here for 5 minutes.
श्योर।
Cool
थोड़ा
man.
रुक जाते, मुझे भी कॉन्फिडेंस आ जाता।
ठीक है, रुक जाऊंगा। I'll be here. हम यहीं
ठीक
अब
है
चला
ठीक है।
रखा है, तुम्हारा सेशन चल रहा है यहाँ भी, तो मैं सुन रहा हूँ।
ओके ठीक है। मैं कैमरा तो बंद कर दूंगा क्योंकि नेटवर्क कनेक्टिविटी इशू है।
Okay.
सो आई जस्ट बी शेयरिंग माय स्क्रीन।
Cool man. Works.
कैसे हो भैया आप?
First class. How are you?
डूइंग गुड।
How's job?
फटी पड़ी है। जॉब्स डूइंग गुड। जॉब्स अच्छी चल रही है।
Got it. Are you recording locally?
नो, डू यू वांट मी टू रिकॉर्ड इट? ओबीएस इंस्टॉल
Uh,
तो नहीं है।
yeah, I don't see. Oh, this meeting is being It's not being recorded. Yeah, so one of us will have to record this. Can you install OBS?
Sure, I'll just do that.
I'll answer chat until then. People are funny.
आज सभी लोग गिटहब स्पैम करेंगे, फिर भी मैं कुछ नहीं देख।
Nice.
सिलिकॉन। भैया रेजोल्यूशन कुछ स्पेसिफिक है क्या, या रैंडमली रिकॉर्ड लगा दूं?
1080 should be fine. As long as you see
ठीक है।
1080 and make sure your mic is connected, audio is being recorded. I should tell
डन डन।
Aryan why this meeting is not being recorded for some reason.
रिकॉर्डिंग ऊपर आ रहा है भैया?
Aryan is
मुझे तो
here.
लग रहा है।
Aryan is in the panelist.
Okay, it is being recorded, Aryan. आपको आ
हाँ,
रहा है तो?
रिकॉर्ड हो रहा है।
हाँ, मुझे ऊपर आ रहा है, रिकॉर्डिंग आ रहा है।
All right, good to go then, guys. Cool.
ओके
All the best, Keshav.
ठीक है भैया। Hey guys, let me just introduce myself for a bit. So today's class there won't be a lot of coding. It's gonna be a lot of design part. We'll be learning about UI, UX, and how to design a web page. By the end of this class, it's gonna be a two-part class. So today is gonna be the part one. Tomorrow we will have a part two. So today we'll be designing a web page by the end of this class, and tomorrow we'll be coding the exact same web page. So after a while during today's class, after like 1 hour, I'll be asking you guys from the chat to pick a topic or suggest a topic, and we'll be designing a website based on that topic. It's gonna be a challenge, but fuck it. So then, yeah. So let me set a basic context about today's class. Let me share my screen. I'll stop my video and can go from there. Hopefully this is the correct screen. And yeah, these are the topics that we'll be going through today. These are like basic topics, and the notes are, it's totally theoretical. I'll be sharing the notes in the chat. Oops. So like on a higher level, I'll be discussing about my learnings about UI UX. I've done professional certificate from Google, and I've worked as a full-time designer at a design agency from Switzerland. And I've been working as a freelance designer for like more than a year. It was like a small gig. So you could say I have a handful of knowledge about UI design and web design or graphic design. And in tomorrow's class, we'll be learning about web interactions and animations and micro interactions and how to make your UI breathe a bit. For today, we'll be learning about typography, colors, and a bit of UI, UX, and how to set up Figma, how to go around Figma, and all the other parts. So let's just start with setting up a Figma account. If you go to Figma, you can create a free account. Just click on login. Everyone, yes, you could go on Figma and set up an account. We'll start from there. Just log in with Google. I'll be creating a new account just for you guys. Linux users can use the web-based one, and chalo. And if you have a student ID, you could use the pro version, but you can do that later. I think the starter version is just fine. So after you have done setting up your Figma account, you can just go here, create a new file, and create a new design file. This is what we'll be working with today. Also, guys, you can feel free to interrupt me during the class. If you feel like the pace is a bit faster, you could just raise your hand and just let me know, and I'll try to slow it down a bit. I usually tend to speak a bit faster in pace, so you let me know. So this is the UI you'll be working with on Figma. Here are your layers. These are multiple pages. I think you can just create multiple pages. These are a few layers. Here you will be having the design variables, the colors, and etc. This is like the toolbar. Here you'll be having, this is the cursor. This is your cursor, hand tool, scale, frame. The frame tool, this is where you can start designing. So frame is like your canvas. If you have used Excalibur before, frame tool is like, it creates a canvas for you. So let's say we create a desktop canvas. So this is your canvas for today. So here you can add in text, and this text is going to have variables here. You have your font weight, text size, font size, etc. font family. So speaking of typography, let's learn a bit more about typography before we start into design. So typography, I would say, is like the most basic part of your design process. Sorry. Typography isn't just about, picking pretty fonts. Typography isn't just about, picking pretty fonts. So it is divided into multiple parts. There are types of fonts. There are types of styles of a font. You have something called as a typeface, which is the font family. If I go to Google Fonts, and let's search for Poppins. It's like the pretty famous font for UI designers or web developers mostly. So all these fonts you see here, these are the part of a typeface. Poppins is a typeface, and these fonts are part of the Poppins family. Poppins is a typeface. These are all the part of a family of Poppins. And when you say font, what we are referring here is sorry guys. What you're referring here is Poppins, bold, and 16 pixels. This is what comes under the font. So if I go to Figma back again, what we have here is we are using Interfont here. We can switch to Poppins just for the class. Poppins, regular, and 16 pixels is our font for today. And we have various sizes, but 16 pixels is like the suggested or recommended font, which is supported on most of the devices, mobile, desktop, and a lot of devices. Now let's move to types of fonts. There are like three mostly used fonts, which are sans serif, serif, and monospaced. Sans serif is like a pretty clean, modern, sleek font, which is used everywhere nowadays. Then it's like a display font. Next, we have serif font. Serif fonts have these feet at the bottom. If you notice, there's like a small feet here. These feet, basically this font is used in printed medium, like a newspaper or say books. And also fonts do have a meaning attached behind them. And these fonts usually mean like this provides a premium feel to the font. So serif fonts are used for that. Then the another mostly used font is monospaced fonts. Monospaced fonts are used in code editors or a terminal, something like that. So basically the difference between monospaced font is, or what makes it monospaced fonts unique is they have exact same size. All the characters in a monospace fonts have the same size. So you just have basic description over here. Then we can move to font weight. Font weight is like the boldness of a font, thin, extra light, regular, yada yada. So basically, font weight comes in handy when you're trying to represent hierarchy in your design, which is very key. And basically, we should not overuse bold or italic font styles. That just makes your design look weird. I think it's okay to use it for displaying hierarchy, but overusing of a font weight, it just makes your design look weird. We'll be discussing that when we are designing our website for today. Then I just mentioned some theoretical parts here. Next, we can discuss typographical jargon. There's something called leading, tracking, and kerning. So let's start with leading. Leading is the line height. So if I go here and I type a few lines, let's just do with hello today. And if you notice, the space here, this is called your line height. And by default, it's set to auto in Figma. But if I try to increase that, see, so if I try to increase that, the line space increases. So this is handy when you're trying to achieve some unique effect in your design. The closer it is, the tougher it is to read. But if you're trying to create some unique effect look with your font, you can use this. So this is basically line height or leading. Next, we got tracking, which is letter spacing. Even this is similar to line height. It's just for adding a special effect. Personally, we use 120% for body text and 150% for heading text. Basically, if your font is a bit larger, it would be easier to read if you have a lot of space in between. So 150 for heading text, and 120, between 100 to 120 for body text. It just depends on your vision or your likings. Then let's move to tracking, which is letter spacing. So now if you notice this, this is a default letter spacing provided by the Poppins font family. And if I try to decrease the letter spacing, it just shrinks down a bit. It looks compact, it looks cleaner, according to me. But on like a larger use case, it's tougher to read. If there's a lot of text and your letter spacing is very, and if your letter spacing is very small, very low, it's pretty hard to read. So the default values which we use for letter spacing, not default values, but the suggested values are from 0 to 3%. So this is 0, which is the default. And this is -1, which I personally use. And you could go up till -3, which up till -3, it's easier to read. These values, of course, do change, but I'm talking about Figma. We'll be discussing how these values convert to the development space while using Tailwind. We'll be using Tailwind to develop the websites we will be designing today. So we'll be converting these values to REM or M, which are like conversion ratios or conversion values. And we'll be discussing that tomorrow. So for now, 0 to -3 and upwards are good to go while you're designing with various types, various fonts. This is how Poppin looks with -3. Inter might look different for you. Inter looks like this with -3. Every font looks different and feels different. It just comes down to your preference and your branding, which font you like and which font you want to use for your branding. And these are a few resources and all the topics which I've been sharing with you guys have resources attached at the end of the page. And I'll be also sharing a single slide with all the resources combined after tomorrow's class. I just don't want you guys to go through the resources and just keep going through the resources. So if I open Typescale, this is like very good resource if you want to compare how your font would look on a website. So this is like a dummy website these guys have created. If I zoom in, this is how your font would look, Inter would look with these settings on your website. The body size here is 16, right? So if I change that to 20, it has changed to 20. So this is like a really good tool if you are trying to test your website font sizes in real time. This is one of the resources. Then I have also shared a few websites where you can find some really cool fonts. FontShare is one of them. You will find really cool fonts here. Sorry, it has loaded. You will find some really cool fonts here. This is one of the resource, and Google Fonts is also a widely used resource for finding fonts, free fonts, and FontShare is one of them. FontJoy is like a really cool website. It helps you with creating font pairs. What is a font pair? You can use multiple fonts in your website, but personally, I would say just stick with 2 fonts. More than 2, it looks just weird. It looks clumsy. It looks cheap. But if you're trying to achieve a unique effect, or if you know what you're doing with your fonts, then you can use multiple fonts. Who am I to say? So for now, let's stick with 2. 2 fonts are more than enough for creating your website. If you might ask, like, what is the need of using multiple fonts? The need of using multiple fonts could be again for achieving hierarchy. If you notice, this font is a bit bolder and it has higher weight in the design. There's a new term, weight. What does weight refer to in design? Weight means the amount of attention that particular part is attracting in the design. So if I hit on generate here, it works and it will generate a new pair of fonts for you. You can go through this website and you can create your unique pair of fonts and have fun with it. There's FontJoy, then we have Free Faces. I personally love the design of this website. You can find various types of font types, which we just discussed earlier: serif, slab, monospace, etc. This is like a really cool website. And we have Uncut.wtf. I found this one recently, and I don't know, I have no words for this. I just love this website. You find a lot of fonts, and the design is just so pretty. All these animations, and yeah, this looks good. Then, yeah, those are the resources for typography. I hope you guys understood that. AK bro, can we have a poll if how that was getting for a response? Or do you want me to? Well, yeah, that's great. So good. I hope this class is going to be good then. I hope I'm teaching well. So at the end of the day, the typography in your design should be legible and readable. And we'll be discussing a bit more about how your design should be and how it should be user-centric. Every design you do should be user-centric, not attached to yourself. The design should not feel like, yeah, it's my design, I just want it to be this way. No, your design should be for your user. At the end of the day, you're not the one using your website. Your user is going to use your website. So let's think from a third person perspective. Your design should always be for the user, not for yourself. Well, of course, you can add your theme to it, but you should be thinking about the user. So there's that. That's all about typography. We'll be jumping into colors next. Now, colors is like a pretty cool topic. It's a very deep topic, and if you're using a wrong set of colors, your website is gonna feel like crap, look like crap. And I've seen a lot of websites like in the cohort. I mean, the design is fine, but people just use the colors wrong. That's simply it. Colors should be used in like a very peculiar way. You should be very, sensitive about what color you're using in your design, because colors matter a lot in the design process. It adds mood to your design. It, uh, you know, explains how attention is attracted to your website, and it just impacts the overall user experience. I just mentioned it here. So starting with color, we'll just start with the color theory. So what is color theory, you would say? Color theory is the study of colors where we learn about what a certain color signifies. Every color has an emotion and a psychology attached with it. Let's say I have attached a picture here, which is like a branding picture. If you see red, it signifies ambition, confidence, boldness, and passionate, and being passionate. So that's what red signifies. Blue signifies it's like a more premium color. Blue feels a bit more premium. Green signifies growth, nature, something like that. And gray signifies balance, timelessness, practical, solid, yada yada. But yeah, I hope you get the point. Colors do matter a lot in your design. And let's talk a bit more about color values. We have color contrast, color saturation, color use, color lightness. There's a lot to talk about colors, but I don't think we need to go that depth into the colors topic, because if you have a good eye for color, I think that's more than enough. I've attached a video down here. It's from it's a really good watch. You could watch that video and you could get a lot of information about colors. So let's move forward with colors. Let's talk about contrast in colors. What's contrast, you might say? If you visit a website and whatever you're reading, everything has a contrast. So let's say you're having now in this screen, we have a black background on top of and on top we have white text. But what if the text was a bit darker? That would be really tough to read, and that would create a very bad user experience. That's bad. So there are some guidelines to maintain good contrast ratio. WCAG, this is like a community guidelines for accessibility. So for normal text, you need to have 5:1:5, 4:5, 4.5:1 ratio. For a good contrast ratio, it's like a good contrast ratio. Then these are some values. So at the end of the day, you need to have a really good contrast ratio. I think I've mentioned a website where you can check the contrast for website colors. Sorry, I haven't mentioned that. I'll have to mention it later. There's a website where you can check contrast on your website colors. Then let's move to the 60-30-10 rule. This is like a very important rule, and this would save a lot of time for you guys as well. I've learned this recently, and this has been very helpful. So what's 60-30-10 rule? So 60%, you need to be the primary color, which is going to be either black or white. It's going to be the plain colors, solid colors. Then next is 30%, which is going to be your secondary color, which will have slight accent, which you're going to use a bit less compared to the 60% of the color, which is like the neutral color. This part, the neutral color, it's going to be everywhere on your website. We'll go that future. Okay. Then we have the last 10%, which is the main brand color. Brand color is like the accent and the branding color, which will be signifying the brand, signifying your brand. If we go to app.100xstuffs.com and I sign out. So here our brand color is blue. This is a website I designed. So if you notice, blue is used very sparingly, unless it's a CTA. What's a CTA? CTA means call to action. Unless it's a CTA and you want to drive your entire attention of your page to that particular part, you should use your branding color a bit sparingly. So this is how it looks in light mode, and this is how it looks on dark mode. I've tried my best to make this website accessible with proper contrast ratio and proper coloring. If you notice, I've used CTA colors very sparingly. The blue is used very less. and because it's a branding color, it's just 10% of the page. We don't have a secondary color here, but we have just used two colors. So all of the rules I'll be mentioning here, it's not mandatory to follow them, but it's like good thing to follow. Whatever the rules we are going to study, it's like good to have in your mind while designing your project to have the best outcome. It's not pretty mandatory to follow everything you watch in this video, but these are like a good thing to keep in your mind to have a solid design. And I mentioned psychology behind every color. See, red signifies energy, passion, urgency, etc. Blue, trust, security, calm. That's how each color works. Now let's come to the problem with too many colors. I've seen a lot of guys using too many colors in their designs. What happens is, if you're using too many colors, your attention is divided into each of those colors, and your all of your vision is gonna focus on various parts of the design. And if the design is made with multiple colors, your attention is split into multiple divisions, and you'll be focusing on each color sparingly, and it just has a bad user experience. And the user would not be able to focus on what you're trying to represent. Instead, he will be focusing on what color should I be looking at. That's how the thing works. Yeah, AK is doing having some fun in the chat. Then just make sure if you're trying to use too many colors, unless too many colors is part of your branding, then it's good to use too many colors. I don't mind using too many colors, but make sure it's not overwhelming for the user when he visits your website. Limit the colors to just 2 or 3 at max. 3 is good. For fonts, 2 is good. 3 is even 3 is good for fonts, but just 2 is enough. 1 is even better for fonts. And for colors, 3 is more than enough, for according to me. But I could be wrong. It's design again. I just want to mention this, and I hope guys keep that in your mind. Whenever you're designing something, just keep that in your mind that it's not necessary everyone will like your design. Design is subjective. It's similar to art, and not everyone will enjoy your painting. Some might, but some won't. And at the end of the day, as a UI designer, you need to make sure your design is enjoyed or liked by as many users as possible. Yeah, even I do, AK. Even I love my design, but the user should also like my design. That's what a designer should focus on at the end of the day. Now, these are some pretty good notes. I've handpicked these notes, and I've tried to curate. Of course, this is AI generated, but I've tried to make sure everything is handpicked and there's no nonsense in here. And this will be really helpful for you guys if you give this a read. And let's move to resources. A lot of you guys really love the resources. I have been having floods in my DMs asking for resources. Keshav bro, can I have some resources? I need some tools. Can you suggest me some resources, etc. So I have some resources for you. Let me introduce you to real-time colors. And this is also a website where you can test different color combinations. See, here we have primary, secondary accent colors. If I change a color, it will change on the screen. It's as simple as that. And it will also provide you contrast ratios. You can also check those out. This is like a completely built website with proper hierarchy and everything. This is like a real-time website. This is a really good resource if you're trying to test some color combinations. It also has a dark mode. Now, if you notice the color psychology, we have a test here. Yeah. We can check out color psychology. If you notice, I'm using the red color right now, and the website looks a bit bold, and it feels like fire, and it signifies boldness, something like that. But let me change that to a shade of blue. If I change that to a shade of blue, the website suddenly feels a bit calmer. I don't know if you could see this, but the website looks a lot calmer compared to red. And if I change that to green, this would start looking, I don't know, affirming. This looks something like a hug, a tight hug. This just looks comforting. So that's how different colors act on your website. This is like a really cool website if you want to try a few combinations out by yourself. You can go around, you can randomize colors. It also provides you some really good color combinations. Notice there. It's like it's also providing you different color combinations. I don't really use these websites, but these are like really good resources. And I love collecting stuff like this in a thought of maybe I might use those. But yeah, as a beginner, this is like a really cool website you could try out. Then we have uicolors.app. This is how should I say? If you have used Tailwind before, in Tailwind you will have a color palette. What's a color palette, you might say? Color palette is like a strip of colors which has different shades of a same color. So around 500 or 600, you have the actual color from which this color palette has been designed. So now you can see the locked one, it's 700. So based on this color, the entire palette is generated. So it's the same, underneath this will have the same hue and saturation of a color, but just if I copy this, you can have a better understanding on what I'm talking about. If I go to Figma and I create a frame here, this is a frame, and if I copy this, this is, by the way, this is a 700 color. So if you notice, this is the 700th part. And if I open the fill part, this is like this is where you play with your colors. So there are multiple types of values through which you can, represent a color. So mostly you use RGB or hex as a developer, but designers, we use HSL or HSB. What's HSL or HSB? HSL stands for hue, saturation, and lightness. HSB stands for hue, saturation, and brightness of the color. So I personally use HSL because I feel HSB is a bit confusing. So let's go with HSL. So if I change the lightness a bit, let me make that 50. Oops. Let me do that 50. And it should be aligning with some of these colors. Yeah, 50. So these two, the hue and saturation, those will be changing very manually, but the lightness will be changing as the scale goes up or down. So this is like a cool color palette scale if you're trying to design website using in your Tailwind. I'll be explaining that to you guys tomorrow in tomorrow's class. But yeah, this is also a good color generator for Tailwind. So, okay. Next, let's move to our next color website. So this is Humint. This is also a really good color palette generator. Here also you can generate multiple color palettes for your website. This also has like a lot of stuff in it. Changes everything. The colors change and all. You have multiple types in which you can generate your colors. You have gradients here, gradient, 2 color, 3 color, etc. So these are the resources for your colors. And the video, it's really good to watch. I would say everyone to watch it if you are trying to get good at your colors. So at the end of the slide, I would just like to say that use your colors sparingly. Just limit your colors and make sure you follow a hierarchy and have a good contrast ratio with your colors. I'll be sharing a website about the contrast ratio for colors. I don't remember the link right now. I'll add that to the docs later tonight. And yeah, just use your color sparingly. I think 2 colors are good. And of course, you will be getting the habit of understanding which color is good and which color feels good after a while, after having some experience with designing. So yeah, no chats. AK Bhai, can you do a poll again regarding doubts, or do we want to have a break? Damn, I guess I'm a good teacher then. Okay, that's great, guys. So, should we dive into UI UX then? Let's start with UI and UX. Introduction to UI UX. Let me close all of these. So, to put it simply, UI is everything you see on the web page, and UX is everything you feel on the web page. So, UI, it's like the button, the text, the forms, and every image, etc. All of these come under UI, and UX is the experience you are having while you're going through a website. Let's say you're scrolling through a list of images, a list of text, or you're clicking on a button, or you're searching for something on your website, or you're trying to pinpoint certain specific thing on your website, or you're trying to do a payment. Everything, all of these things come under UX. And also there are a lot of UX laws we'll be learning today, and we'll be learning what are the good things, good practices in UI, how to create UIs. And by the end of today's class, we'll be designing a web page, a responsive web page, which will be user-centric based on how a user would have a best experience in that website. We'll be trying to involve most of the concepts we learned in today's class. And yeah, so let's start with a slight introduction to UI UX. I think I have explained this right now. So this is like a really good section. Why does UI UX matter? So, like if you're creating an app for selling it, you would only have good outcome or good sales if your product is really easy to use for the user. Not everyone knows how to use a complex website. Let's say your dad is using a website and he doesn't need those fancy animations. He just needs a simple UI, which would get him from point A to point B. Yeah, yes, sir. So we just need to go from point A to point B. There are a lot of ways you could do this. You could go from here to here. You could go from here to here. I would say this middle one, it's easier to do, and this is going to have the best user experience. I feel like you guys would agree with the same. A to B, if you want to go from point A to point B, it should be pretty simple. You just don't want to go around everywhere and then end up at the point B. That's just bad user experience. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to waste their time on your website. They just wants to get as much information as possible from your website within the first few seconds of landing on your website. So that's why landing page matters the most on your website. Let's say landing page or the hero section of your website, which will be designing, matters a lot. So the first impression, it's in around, as I mentioned, 50 milliseconds. The user will judge your website within the first 50 milliseconds. 50 is less, very less. Let's say first 10 seconds. Let's be let's be good, and let's consider 30 seconds, or let's say 10 seconds. Even in 10 seconds, the user will judge your website pretty hard. If your website gives them a bad impression, they won't visit your website again. that's a potential loss for your company. That's a potential loss for your website. You just lost a customer. And the next time, whenever someone's, recommends your website or in your app, they will just simply say that that website is just looks bad. It has a bad experience. And there goes your marketing. That's a bad marketing. So we just don't want that to happen. And we just need to make sure your UI is pretty simple and pretty understandable to the end user. And then you will have, very good marketing. Good UI UX, consistent design. These are just theoretical parts. But from this slide, I just want you guys to pick up that UI UX helps your app to grow as a business. You created an app. That's pretty good. So you coded the backend, you have a pretty cool AI app, but if it has a bad user experience, no one's going to use it. There are a lot of examples where there's a bad user experience, but the product is good and the product might get rejected just because of the UI. We just don't want that to happen. We want our app to sell as much as possible. It will only sell if it has a good UI UX. People might say front end is easy, but it's easier compared to back end, but it helps you to sell your app. Your product is what you see. No one goes to the back end of your code and checks what's written in the back end and oh, this works like that. But no one does that, especially a common user. Everyday user doesn't do that. He does not know how the backend works. He will do whatever he sees on the website. Shall I use a gender neutral term? Let's say they will use whatever they see on the website. So that's the job of a front-end developer or a designer to represent and display the information in a very understandable manner, which is very easier to understand even by a kid, even by 11-year-old. Even a 11-year-old should understand what's happening on your website. That's how simple your website should be. You can add, infinite amounts of animations, but just just make sure those animations are very minor and you just don't slap unnecessary animations. It might look cool, but at the end of the day, it might create a bad user experience for someone. I have noticed a lot of people use this orbiting animation. Even I've used that. A lot. I won't be hypocrite. I've used it here. Whatever I'm doing here, I've also designed this website. Not to plug, but yeah, this might have an adverse effect on someone with motion sickness. You should also keep that in check. I just created this animation to showcase my skills at animation, which got me into the position I am. If you're doing that, that's pretty fair. But if you're creating a production level software, which is gonna get some, very good numbers, you are gonna have to make sure it's accessible to everyone. Whatever this animation is, I just made that using frame of motion. This is really good. This looks cool, but it should be accessible to everyone. I've noticed, I also designed these notes and I think someone gave a review for this that the new UI it's not pretty accessible. So they wanted to switch to older UI, which is a bit bland, but it gets the job done. It's pretty accessible. It has proper color contrast. I agree that the problem with my UI is the background is very dark, which is not really good for the user because it's a reading platform. The color contrast here is bad. You should not have a very dark background for a reading website. It's good if you're trying to sell something and you want to, pitch black background. But if you're promoting your blog or a website which is going to have a lot of text on top of it and the user is supposed to read from that, you should not be using a darker background. But this looks cool. I think it looks really cool. But if you're spending a lot of time reading on this, I would say it's not good and it's not accessible. I wanted to change this, but I couldn't find time. I'll change that later. So there's that about UI UX. And let's jump to UI now. This is just introduction. This is a high level introduction part on UI UX, why you need to use UI UX, why UI UX matters, what's the difference between UI UX. UX is like UX without UI is like brain without a body, and UI without UX is like a human without its brain. If you read that, if you understand that, that's a very deep line. And I think as a designer, it's very important to understand this point, that UI and UX both go hand in hand, and UI UX goes hand in hand with front end development. Front end development goes hand in hand with back end development. Both make front full stack, and that leads to employment. You get jobs. You get you earn money at the end of the day. So everything is connected. Let's jump to UI now. This is interesting now. This is where it gets interesting, and we are right around the corner for designing a website. Help you guys have ideas ready for the website we are going to design now. Just make sure you have some ideas ready, and it's going to be a fun session. I feel like we'll be walking through my process of how I design a website when I'm given a task to do a website, and how I usually do for my clients, and we'll go from scratch from like zero at like frame one. I'll be doing it with you guys. You guys can follow along and design with me. You can add your theme to it, and you guys could share that on Twitter and tag me, and I will review that. It would be great. So enough yapping, and we'll start with UI. So let's learn some core concepts in UI. And thanks for plugging my Twitter, AK. Let's start with UI topics now. Let's talk about hierarchy. What's hierarchy? Hierarchy, it's like arrangement of elements on your website. Like you have a heading, you have body text, you got images, and even for images, there are images which hold higher importance, and the images which are pretty useless, which just lie there, but it's just for design sake. So hierarchy helps you when deciding which text is which part of your design matters the most, and which part of your design matters the least. So there's a good example about hierarchy here. So here you can notice we are using proper hierarchy here. This text, it just looks pretty bland, I would say. There's no hierarchy here. Not as big here. Here is even smaller. It's just design I got. So if you want to emphasize your text, you just make it bolder and make it larger. That's how hierarchy works. We have discussed this earlier, that we use font weight, font color, font size to have some hierarchy in your design. So that's how hierarchy works. Then there are types of hierarchies which we would have here. There's visual hierarchy, and there's content hierarchy. So visual hierarchy, to put it simply, it helps in guiding you throughout your website. Then we have content hierarchy, which helps you understand which topic holds more weight, and helps you in organizing and the information you're trying to share with your website. That's where visual content hierarchy comes in. And visual hierarchy, it's pretty simple. Visual hierarchy helps you in displaying which part holds more weight in your website. So these are two types of hierarchies. Also, white space. This is like a really cool topic. I think I have a separate section for that. Oh, I don't. Yeah, I do have a white space. Yeah, we'll come to that. White space. Then these are a few topics. I hope you guys go through this notes. It's pretty good. I have been making this writing these notes for a while. It's pretty good to read. Then consistency. Oh, this is a very important topic. Though I have written a lot less about this, but I will let you talk about this a bit more. Community consistency. Keep your design consistent. Let's say you're using certain font in the first page of your website, and if you switch to a different font in your next page, it just feels like a different website. If you want to have a unified feeling for your website, like a solid branding to your website, your design needs to be consistent. The spacings, the font, the colors, the text, the images you're using, everything in your product should be consistent from the start to your end. Even the text in your footer should be of the same size throughout your page. Consistency matters a lot. Even the functional consistency. Functional consistency. What's functional consistency? Let's say you're clicking on a button and it opens a link in the next tab. And if you have another button which opens link in the same tab, it just creates a bad experience because the user would click on the other button thinking that, I'll just visualize that. Let's say you have a one button, you have two buttons over here, which look the same, but behind they have a different functionality behind them. All right. So this is button one. And this is button two. Both the buttons look exactly the same to your eye, but they have some functionality difference. One button opens in a new tab. Opens a link in a new tab, and the second button just opens the link in the same tab. Now, why is this wrong, you would ask? It just creates a bad user experience. The user which has just clicked on the first button and the link has opened in a new tab might think that the second button is also going to do the same, unless if the second button opens the link in the same tab and that function is if you're doing that wantedly, intentional, sorry, yeah, that's the word. If the functionality is intentional, then it's good. It's perfect. If whatever you're doing is intended, then it's good. But unless if it's not intended and you have done it unintentionally, that one button opens a new tab and the second button opens in the same tab, not what same, in the same tab, that just creates a bad user experience, and there goes some negative review on your part. So make sure your design is pretty consistent all over, starting from the text, functionality, hierarchy, displaying, representing your information, everything, man. Just make sure your website or your web app is pretty consistent from start to bottom. It's easier for the user to navigate through your website if it's consistent. They'll get a feeling of familiarity that, okay, this is how the website is going to be and this is how it's going to work throughout, and it would just work. That's the feeling the user might get if your website is consistent. Now, let's move to white space. White space is very key. It helps a lot in making your design look cleaner, breathable, and more functional. White space plays a very vital role in making your design look, very breathable, if that word makes sense to you guys. If I go here on projects100xlabs.com, you notice all this space. This is called the white space here. Though it's black, it's still called as a white space, or you could say negative space. That's another word for it. Sorry for blinding you guys, but now it's white space, or you could call it as negative space as well. So this is the white space, and you might ask, why do you have so much space around the text? Isn't that wasting a lot of space? I mean, the purpose of the space is to waste some space so that this part of the page comes out, gets more attention to it. If you notice that this section of the page is having some weight when there's a space around it. If you just imagine and remove this entire space, there would be no weight on this section of the page. It would just look pretty bland. I hope don't break the page UI. Screen size. Yeah, I don't want to break it. It will just, yeah. Because there's animation on top of it, it would just break the website. Of course, on local, but yeah. So the white space that helps in making your website look cleaner, breathable, and more premium, I would say. If you take a look at this example, though Amazon looks a bit old-fashioned, but it has cracked the key at good UI and UX. You will just know whatever is happening on Amazon and it will just works. You can flow through the website pretty smoothly without any hassle, and you will just end up wherever you wanted to go. That's a good user experience. And if you have a solid user experience, UI doesn't matter that much. If you have a good user experience, of course, you need to have a good user interface. But if you have a good user experience, it's pretty good. If you visit Amazon right now and you just click on anything, they will have every single piece of information curated very perfectly as per user experience laws and everything, which we'll be learning in the next slide. But this screenshot, if you notice all these red bars, those are white spaces. As a practical user, there's no logic behind having so much space. You might think, bro, you can have a lot more information if you reduce that space. But if you think about it, if you remove that space, it would look a lot compact. It's my bad. I should have added some examples. Okay, I'll show that while designing the website. I'll showcase white space while doing that. So this is white space. It's also one of it's like a very important topic in UI UX. It's just very important. Please have white space in your designs. It looks pretty clean. It helps in your design. Even if you have, it helps a lot when you have less content to show on your website. So there's that. There's white space. It's like very important. White space is important. Consistency is also important. Then we have also continuity, which will be going next. Basically, white space helps with improved readability. It helps in getting focus of your user, attention of your user in specific part of the page. And next, we'll have visual hierarchy as well. As I've just, showcased in this website, you have visual hierarchy. So if you have a lot of white space, this part is being highlighted the most. If you scroll down, all of these look the same. Right? So that's where white space comes in. Then let's move to continuity. Google's homepage, simple. Yeah, this is a good example. Google's homepage. If you go on Google, there's a lot of white space. This is like the official. If you just forget about search, this is like the Google's homepage. There's a lot of white space all around. But what does that signify? It signifies that Google wants you to focus on this part more than anything on the page. This is what they want you to focus on. And there are a lot of other things in the page, if you notice, but though they are arranged very sparingly, there's a lot of space in between each of the element, and they are located at the edges of the screen, because what Google wants you to focus on is the search engine or the search part of the page. That's where hierarchy comes in. This holds a lot more hierarchy compared to any other part of the page. This is like, other sections of the page. These are like, the secondary things. These hold a very less weight in hierarchy. This is the primary focus on this page. So that's where white space comes in. White space or negative space, whatever you call it. Now, let's start with continuity. What's continuity? Continuity, it's like, how could I explain that? Good. Let's say you're having a user flow. What's a user flow, you might ask? User flow is the path your user will have while navigating through your app. You just created let's say you created a YouTube clone. You wanted to search for let's go, if you mind, I'll create a user flow chart for you. So this is your user, and they want to go from point A to point B. Oh, we already have this here. Yeah, this is exactly what a user flow is. Your user flows from point A to point B. This is a user flow. Even this is a user flow. This is a user flow. Plus this, that. Oh my God.
Hi, Keshav.
Okay.
There is some lag. I guess your voice is breaking.
Yeah, I just switched to hotspot. I have some connectivity issue. Sorry for
Good.
that, guys.
No, it's
Is it good now?
Yeah, great.
Okay, thanks. Thanks for that. Okay. There's hierarchy, consistency, white space, and continuity. If you have a read at this, you will understand what I was trying to say. So let's move to user experience, and then we can start designing our website. So these are like a few important user experience laws which you need to have in your mind while designing your website. I mean, I just want to say that again, it's not mandatory to have these laws, but it's good to follow and it helps in having a good user experience. It just comes down to how you want to represent your product, how you want to sell your product. So let's go through each of these laws. First comes Hicks law. What does Hicks law say? It just says, in simple terms, Hicks law says don't provide a lot of options in a single view. See, the more choices you present, the longer it takes for the user to make a decision. You don't want your user to be stuck in your website for a longer time. You want them to have a cleaner, very smooth flow around your website. And if they spend a lot of time on a single page, they're gonna have a bad user experience. They're gonna be like, bro, what am I doing? So, spending this much time on this website. This is just wasting my time a lot. If your user is in a hurry, they're just gonna have a very bad experience if you provide a lot of options. Provide options in very simple way. A good example for this would be um mm, let's say, I'd say premium page on X. Oh, I want this. Okay. So if you notice there, X could have provided a lot of premium features because he's lot of premium plans. He could have provided you with 6 more plans, and you would have been here, thinking a lot about, oh, which plan should I have? Which plan should I get? But instead of that, Elon just decided to have 3 premium plans. One is basic, one is premium, and one is premium plus. Each of them having, specific functionality or specific set of features behind them. So the Hicks law just tells you to have a very curated set of choices for the user to select. That's Hicks law. Next, let's move to Fitts law. The time to reach a target depends on its size and distance. Okay, so if I go to app.devs.com, if you notice, the CTA button here is larger. If this button was smaller, you wouldn't have clicked this. You wouldn't know what this button does. You wouldn't know what this button means. So what Fitts law says that even this example shows you like a great example. If this button is a bit larger in size, it would have a higher weight in the design, and it would signify a lot more meaning from a design perspective. And if the size of the button is smaller, it would just make no sense. That the user might think, oh, it's just a secondary button. It's not that big, and he would just skip that. So it comes down to hierarchy again here. The time to reach a target depends on its size and button. And if you are on this page, on the login page, you would reach this button faster compared to this. You might be thinking, oh, what that button is. Should I click that or not? If the button is big, the user will think, oh, this is the button that's intended to click, and they will click on this button. That's law for you. We have Jacob's law, which is also very important, because what it says that a user looks for familiar designs, or familiar designs. This is a great example here. It's a video player, and video players have a already well-defined design of the video being played at the top, and there's a slider at the bottom. It's like a very established design, and if you change that, if you move that video slider to the up, it would just create a bad experience. The user might think, oh, what's that at the top? I don't like that. It will just make a bad experience. So there are certain parts of in a design that's established, and you don't I think you shouldn't change those things, because the user might feel isolated and think, I don't know what that is, and I don't want to mess with that. That's what the user might think. So it's better to stick to an established design for certain parts of your website. There's an example here: cart icon at the top corner of your website. So most of the websites, let's say Amazon or Flipkart, they have cart icon at the top. Let me just open Amazon. Okay. So if you see this, there's a cart at the top, and almost all of the websites will have a cart at the top right corner of their website. There might be certain cases where a website might have it in a different place. I'm not denying that, but it's an established design choice that most of the e-commerce websites use their cart at the top half. So there's that. Then if we move to Miller's law, oh, this is also a good example. If you are providing a list, or let's say grid, the maximum number of cards in a grid shouldn't exceed 7. Why 7, you would say? A user has a tendency to remember just 7. People can hold, just 7 items, 2 more or 2 less items in their working memory. What's a working memory? Let's call it RAM. Your memory's RAM can just hold 7 items in a particular moment. So if you provide the user more than 7 choices in a single page, that would just create a bad user experience, and that would overwhelm the user. Oh, these are a lot of things to select from. One good tip to tackle this problem, if you are having a lot more items than 7, is you create a pagination. You create multiple pages with 7 items in a particular page. You can go up to 10, but that's up to you. That depends on the product you're trying to design. But 7 is like the maximum number of stuff your mind would hold at a particular moment of time. So that's Miller's law. Then we go to law of proximity. What's law of proximity? Items which are, aligned, laid down together, or say in a closer proximity, are considered to be of similar, or say similar category, or say considered to be related with each other. Let's take an example of a family. And if you guys if a part of a family, if a family lives together, and I don't know how to put this example. Okay. Basically, what I'm trying to say is, people that live together, they will be perceived as related. Family lives together, and basically they are related. That's the point I'm trying to consider, put forward. So that's law of proximity. Then aesthetic usability effect. At the end of the day, user will use your design, use your website if they feel that it looks clean, good, and easy to use. Aesthetics also play a very good role in a good website. So that's where UI comes in, UI design comes in. As I have said, UI and UX go hand in hand with each other. They both together create a good design. So you need to make sure you also have a good design, good aesthetic look to your website, while having a great user experience feel to your website. So to create a pretty cool website. So these are a few laws. There are a lot more laws, but I felt like these should be enough. I might have missed something, but uh, there are a lot more laws. You could just Google them. You will find them. There are a lot of laws out there, and some of them are really important. I might share a link, and you guys could look into it later on. Can we have a poll, please, to if I should repeat this or should we continue? Because I just lost my connection there, right? Is it an optional lecture? Yeah, it's an optional lecture. New student. Okay, that's good. So now the interesting part starts. Should we go through? Yeah, we might need to open the chat for a bit. I want you guys to suggest me a decided topic for a website we would create. It could be anything. Just pity me and select an easier topic so it would be good for both of us and we could do it uh quicker. It's a request. Yeah, 100x money. Q and Gradients as dating website. I mean, we are just doing the front end, so please be redesign reply. Oh, what's that?
Hi, Keshav. Your voice is again a little bit distorted.
Hello. Yeah, it's working. Sorry guys, I've been having a very bad connection issue from yesterday. So where's the chat? क्या बनाए? Tailwind, gaming related, college website, Zomato, Calendly, Apple landing page. No, bro, we are trying to design a page. I don't want to recreate the same page. F now. What do you mean by F? Discord, Calendly, Box model intuitive, horse selling, medical professional, maybe dentist. This sounds like a easy website to do. Oh, I can do that. I have a great resource for this. So Harshit Singh asked for, can you suggest, please suggest where to find good picks? I have a great place for that. So Lumi.ai, this is a really good website where you can find AI generated picks, which are copyright free, most of them. And these just keep generating. You can literally search for anything. So I'll add that in chat. Super 30 page. I mean, that's good, but there won't be much content in there. We can do dentist website where I saw that a medical professional, maybe dentist, course selling. AK bhai, Kirat bhaiya hai kya available? If he is available, he might throw in some ideas.
Sure. Let me see.
Or the folks at Super 30 would request Kirat bhai to join. Maybe he's busy. No. This seems like a good UI we could design pretty quick. T brand, medical Chutti. Let's make agent UI. Agent. Oh, UI UX, no, gaming related, Stripe. Can you make it design? Inside podcast. Super 30 voice. Travel website is good, or we could do pet hostel. EdTech website, dating, webinar, what's 30,000? Phone, Super 30 page, Stripe. Dental website seems a good thing to design right now.
Hello, Keshav.
Otherwise- Yeah.
Kirat is not available right now, so now it's up to you and audience.
So I think dental website is pretty easy to website design right now. We could do dental or open the chat for a bit. I think the people are having fun and they wanna add some more. Anything simple, dental payment. All of you want dating. What's happening? There are a lot of dating websites stuff.
Keshav is not expert in that.
डेटिंग वेबसाइट नहीं आती मुझे. हाँ, पॉज कर दो अभी देखते हैं बहुत से आगे. लॉगिंग ऐप, कार रेंटल वेबसाइट, GTS6. भाई रॉकस्टार बनाने पे मैं क्या बनाऊं? NFT marketplace. I don't want to get my hands dirty at that. Astronomical website. That's a good shout. Something with bento grade. You seem like a pretty. You seem like a guy who has knowledge in UI UX. Bento grade is. Let me introduce you guys to bento grade. Bento grade. So this is what a bento grid is for the guys who don't know what a bento grid is. It's like a grid which is aligned in a very weird widths and sizes, dimensions. It's a Japanese or Chinese, I don't know. It's a Chinese topic, something that if you align things like this, it looks clean. It looks clean. Usually Apple does this with their product launches. They arrange their things in this manner. There's that. Let's go with dental clinic or my own version of Apple website. I think it would be not that good because Apple has done a great job at that. Aid awareness, Didi website. I something like gaming and marketing website, Tinder, blogging. You guys have a lot of good business ideas, but let's stick with astronomical website. But developing an astronomical website from my design would be really tough because for me, I would create an astronomical website with a lot of animations and stuff. So why is someone saying Vimal? I know, right? I mean, we can create a Vimal website. Do you guys want me to create a Vimal marketing page? Let's do a poll on that. Okay, Vimal page or dentist page. It would be fun. Let's keep the class bit fun. So 69% wants a Vimal website. Yeah, okay. Now, okay, let's, can you make another poll, AK bhai, the dental website or a Vimal page? 69. 69 के ऊपर चला गया हूँ. Yes for Vimal and no for dental. Let's do that. भाई सभी को विमल चाहिए. चलो फिर करते हैं जुमा केसरी. All right then. Let's get our tongues orange for today. That sounds weird, but oh, one said this is the Lume AI for AI images. I hope Ajay Devgan doesn't copy strike or stream for creating a Vimal website. I hope that's under copyright terms, but hey, it's just a parody website. What are you gonna do? So the first step would be going to Figma, and I'll just delete all of this shit. Actually, we also have like a really cool color palette for it. Should we use this as well? I think Vimal has a very darker color too. Let's exactly 100x cancer. Hi, Kiran Bhaiya is here. Bhaiya, is it okay to do a Vimal website, right? और कुछ copyright का फंडा होगा. So, are you guys ready to design Vimal website? एक पोल डालते हैं वापस. चलो भाई नो वाले. Why are you guys being so lame? It's gonna be fun. Let's cheer up. Not criticize Aryan here. Okay. Hi Aryan. चलो सुबह कैसे ही करते हैं. So how I start usually is we need to create collect some resources first. We need to select a font. We need to collect some information regarding Vimal because I don't eat gutka, so I don't know what Vimal is. Let's collect some information regarding Vimal. Then we need to select a font. We need to select color scheme. So, and of course, by the end of this design process, we will be having a web design, a tablet design, and a phone, mobile friendly design. So it's going to be a completely responsive website. It's going to be pretty simple because we also need to code it tomorrow in tomorrow's session. So I'll try to keep it as simple as possible while having UI concepts in mind. We have 30 minutes. I think it should be pretty easy to design a landing page and a CTA in this 30 minutes. I hope so. Okay, let's do this. So first, let me walk you through Figma again. If you guys have forgotten, I've given a small walkthrough at the start of this stream. Let's start with what's a frame. Frame is like a canvas. You have multiple type options for selecting a frame. You can select from a phone, iPhone, Android. Figma is pretty biased. It doesn't give a shit about Android phones. It just values iPhones a lot. It's pretty bad for Figma, I would say. But hey, game's a game. So then we have tablets, desktops. You can also create slides in here, which is pretty cool. I usually use Figma for creating my slides for seminars or something. We also can design watch faces. There's paper, social media post. I also used to design social media posts for my client in my previous freelance gig. I used to design posts using Figma. I don't know what Figma community is. Oh, that's for shit they sell on Figma. So let's start with a frame, desktop, and this again, as I've said, Figma prioritizes Apple a lot. So this resolution, whatever you're looking at right now, is for MacBooks. MacBooks have this ratio for a website, so that's what Figma considers as desktop. But usually desktops have a different resolution. So we call this as desktop Excel, and this will have a resolution of 1920 and 1080p. So what's the difference you would say? The difference here is the ratio. This is 16:9 and this is somewhere around, yeah, Mac supremacy, but Windows gamers do love Windows. So this is somewhere around, let's do pretty quick. 1340/1024. It's 1:4. Yeah. So this is somewhere around 2 something. Then we have tablets. This is what this we call this as desktop or a laptop. Resolution desktops / laptop. Desktop Excel. And next we need to have another frame for tablets. So usually these resolutions are a bit tacky to handle while designing. So what I do is I create an extra frame and I use a width of 768 pixels, and you can use any height you want. Let's do 1080. So 768. Is it 786? Yeah, put it on 768. Then we do 375 for mobiles, which considers most of the design mobiles. 375 for mobile. So these are the 4 frames of 4 windows of design website we're gonna design tonight. So this tablet, and this is gonna be a mobile. I would also like to add the resolutions for you guys to have a reference. I share it later. This is 1440. This is 768. So it's 375. All right. So we have got the canvases ready. Now we need to start from somewhere. Let's start with taking references. Taking references is a part of design process. How would you take a reference? Let's go here. Let's start with the front-end designing process. Designing process starts with these phases. This is a design process. These are the 5 stages of a design process, which comes with empathize, define, ideate, prototype, and test. What's empathize? While designing, you need to make sure that your design is user-centric. That means that the user should be at the center of your design. Whatever you're trying to design, your user should be your main priority. That means that how would the user feel while navigating through your website? Or how would the user like your website? What does the user need from your website? In our case, the user wants to buy a good car. He wants to buy Vimal. He wants to see Ajay Devgan on the homepage. And let's picturize a hero section where you have, let's open this. This is going to be our sketchboard. This is going to be a prototype we are designing. So my idea for this website would be Ajay Devgan on this side and some text over here and a cool navigation bar and some text here. Yeah, this is like a basic layout. I don't want to complex it a lot, as it's going to be pretty basic stuff. So this is how our website's going to look. This is where we will be having Akshay Kumar or Ajay Devgan. And here we will be having some text, hero section text, Zuba Kesari, and sure. This is one layout. I also have another idea where you can have no, text in the middle and Zuba Kesari is somewhere here. I mean, Ajay Devgan here. It's like a 1-column design. This is a 2-column design. So these are 2 iterations I would suggest, I would put forward if you are inclined. Next, defining. This entire design process is for a very complex app. It's when you're creating a production level app, and if you just have the idea for it, It's when you are trying to design an app where you have an idea, but you're, you're you're trying to get a lot of users on it. But because we are doing a parody website, I don't think we need to go through this, but let's have a gist of this while we are at it. So empathize, it's understanding what a user needs. Define is like, understanding what exactly a user needs and aligning that with our idea of the project. So there's that. Then after we have done empathizing and defining the user needs, we need to ideate. We need to come up. So basically, we are recording problems from a user's perspective in the first two steps. And in the third step, we are gonna come up with a solution which is gonna solve the user's need. We also need to make sure that we also need to remember that we can't solve the problem of all the users, but we need to make sure we include as many users as possible while coming up with a solution. Because if you try to solve the problem of every user, the solution might not be that good. It can be done, but you will need to cut some corners because a user might want what the what might need something, what the other user might feel like is a problem from his side. So you need to make sure that you include as many users as possible. It's better to include every user, but you need to make sure that your idea of a product aligns with the user's need while coming up with the solution. Then we come to prototyping. So while learning about the design process in my Google certification, I I had the topic. I picked the topic of creating a food delivery app or a food app similar to Zomato. So they were AI user personas. There are a lot of topic user persona and user flow, workflows, and a lot of stuff. But I feel like those are a lot in-depth topics. But if you guys do want to learn about that, you guys could hit me up or you guys could request Kirat Bhaiya and we could go about onto that in depth in a future class maybe. But I feel like this should be enough. But it's better to do it that way. Yeah. Then after you're done ideating is nothing but just coming up with cool ideas with your team of developers, designers, or marketing experts, businessmen, or investors, everyone. That's where ideating comes down. And next, you need to create prototypes. Prototypes are of two types, low fidelity and high fidelity. What are low fidelity prototypes? Wireframes. Wireframes or prototypes, both are more or less the same thing. But what if low fidelity wireframe looks like is low fidelity wireframe? So this is how a low fidelity wireframe looks like. This is a low fidelity wireframe. Then this is a high fidelity wireframe. Then we move on to a prototype. Then we come down to like the app, the final app. I'll just put this. I'll add that later in the notes. You guys will refer to that. So basically, this is a low fidelity prototype. Then we have high fidelity prototype. We have a we have a low fidelity wireframe, high-fi wireframe, then a prototype, then we have the final product, final design. Say. So next, if you ask what exactly do we do in a wireframe, we just visualize what should be placed where. So what we have done here, this is like a low-fi prototype. This is exactly a low-fi prototype. Low-fi prototype. I won't be creating multiple iterations of a wireframing prototype because that's going to extend the class a bit longer than expected. But do you guys want me to do that? Can we have a poll? Okay, bhaiya. Subha Canceri. That's a good tagline. I'll be using that now. Do you want me to do wireframing? Oh. Okay. It's gonna increase class duration. Well, let's see. I'll try to do it, but sure.
Yes,
Let's try to do that. Okay.
I
So
Keshav, do it minimal like for a home page. Otherwise, we can proceed also.
I was just thinking the same, because if you try go in deep about creating a wireframe, that's gonna take a lot of time, because wireframing involves where to what we're gonna place where, what button to place where, what the website's gonna look like. Basically, it's like creating a skeleton of a website. That's exactly what a wireframe is. But to fasten up the process, we could just dive into the design process, and I could show you guys how wireframing is done while designing the website, and that would be much faster. And you would also get the idea of having a how to do a wireframing. Then prototyping also includes creating clickable prototypes. So in Figma, you have an option of doing prototyping as well. We'll be doing this after we have designed the website, and I'll be also teaching you guys, showing you guys how a prototype is done. By design, just shit. Okay, taking references. Taking references is not bad. It's good. It's like taking inspiration from a already built stable website. And it's good to take reference, but you need to make sure that the key to so I've done it here. This is a line which I wrote, it's not AI generated. The key to use them is as an inspiration rather than direct copying. You should not copy a website, but you could inspire from them, and you need to improve upon the current design, whatever you're inspiring from, getting inspired from. The key is to improving the design from your perspective or your use case. So inspiration versus imitation, this is like good text, you could read it and you will get a good understanding of how you should take a reference. The websites which I use for taking references is Pinterest. Pinterest is a pretty good option. There's Dribble, Behance, but they just lock stuff behind login, so I don't do that. So if you go there, Inspos, and a lot of these, uh, this one, yeah, dark mode designs or Inspos, Refero is good. These two are like pretty cool websites. I'll be including this later in the sorry guys, later in the notes. They also show you UX, user experience patterns, UI elements, websites, and there's also a website called as 60 FPS. Yeah, I just love this website. It's super cool and it's really helpful. Uh, you should use it. It's not small, but how various big apps um, have a great user experience. There you go. Then innovation, competence. These are just pretty big things. Now coming to design systems. What's a design system? Design system is like a set of pre-made components made by a specific individual or a company or an organization, uh, which have a similar theme or a mood. A mood or a theme is the same thing, but they belong to a same family. It's like a font family where each font has a different font weight, and they all belong to a same family. Similarly, a design system includes components which have same mood, same theme. Why do we need to use a design system? Design system helps you in creating consistency, efficiency, and if you are hiring let's say a new designer on your team, and you want them to have a same taste as your design, a design system is really helpful for the new designer to understand your design style and you know be a part of it. So now, a few examples of design systems are Material Design, which is developed by Google, and Apple's interface guidelines by Apple's design system basically. So I have provided community file links for these. Apple's iOS 18.1 and Google's Material U. If you go through this, if I open that in Figma, While that loads, if you notice, they have a lot of components here. Getting started and everywhere. They just provide a lot of documentation, licenses, examples. See here. This is a design system provided by Apple. You'll be having all of the components provided by Apple, where you can design your app for Apple products. Of course, every component is provided, and you can edit every single part of it. See? Yeah, even the icons are provided by Apple here. So this is a design system. What the design system looks like. You have a documentation at the start, cover images you can add, a change log, basically a documentation. It's like a Mon repo or a GitHub repository where you store all your codes. That's similar to this. It's like a version control for your design parts. Design tools and responsive design. Yeah. Now, after this section, we will start designing the website. We'll design desktop and mobile versions for today. And I'll be completing the tablet and other desktop version by tomorrow's class, and we will start coding that tomorrow. So there are two approaches for creating a responsive design. What do you mean by responsive design, you might ask? Responsive design is a design which is accessible on almost every single device. In the current situation, mostly we use a laptop, tablet, a desktop, and a phone. These are like the four devices which are, recommended by the designers to have designs for. But there are also apps which support Apple Watches or fridges, smart fridges, TVs. So you might need to have designs for them as well if you are trying to provide your app in those platforms. But these four are at least pretty important. That's a laptop, desktop, tablet, and a phone. So right now, what I'm sharing right now is a desktop. I'm sharing my screen via desktop monitor, which has a resolution of 1920 and 1080. So this is how this website looks like in desktop, but it might look different to you from a laptop, from a tablet, and from a mobile. So to check that, you need to go into inspect element in your website, and if you click on this, this is a tool where you can turn your website responsive. If you click on this will just turn. Yeah, if you notice this, it turns your website into a responsive design, which is an iPhone 14 Pro Max right now. So this is how this website would look like. I mean, I don't think Notion looks like this on iPhone. I think they have a different app for that. Let's just go to app100x.com because I made it responsive quite well. Yeah, so this is how this website looks like in a 14 Pro Max. Then if I increase that a bit, if I move to tablet, this is how it would look like in tablet. This is how it looks like in laptop. And this is how it looks like in a desktop, which has a 16:9 ratio. So basically that's responsive design for you. And there are two ways in designing a responsive website. That's a mobile first approach and a desktop first approach. That is top down and bottom up design approaches. What do we do in top down? In top down approach, we start with designing for a larger screen, which would have a lot of components, and later we can create complex layouts first, and we can slowly move down to smaller devices, which is like we will next move to a laptop, then a tablet, then a mobile, or something like that. So what desktop first, why use desktop first approach, you would say? We would prioritize a larger desktop, and we would finish off complex designs first, and we would easily remove certain parts of the design for the mobile, because it's easier to remove parts of a design rather than adding something to your design. Because once you have something in your mind and you have drawn it on your canvas, it's tougher to remove that, but it's easier. Sorry, it's tougher to add something in. It's easier to remove it. It's easier to remove something. I hope that makes sense. At least from my perspective, I usually do desktop first approach. If you're trying to create an Android app, sorry, a mobile app first, you can move with mobile first approach. But as a web designer or if you're creating a web UI, desktop first approach is better unless you're trying to create a mobile first app, quote unquote mobile first app. Then you can go with the mobile first approach. You could give a read onto this and you could start working. It's up to you. It's your choice on what you want to do with it. All right. Let's create our website, our Zuba Keser. Let's search for Keser here. Okay. This is just giving me. We don't need this. We need to put cup. It doesn't provide good. Anyways, we'll use Google for that today. Okay, so we'll be designing desktop and mobile. I'll be doing tablet and desktop Excel. By tomorrow's class, and we can have a go at it. I'll explain you guys how I did those changes, but now let's create a desktop website. So for starters, a website is divided into multiple sections. So if you look at this website, it has a navigation bar. It has a hero section. This part is called a hero section. This entire part is a hero section. What a hero section does is it's like the main, you know what a hero is. It's like the main attraction piece of your content. So a hero section provides you with a gist of the information that the website is going to be. So I have provided a gist of information here, a beginner-friendly platform for mastering programming skills. This is what app.100xtests.com was supposed to be or is. Then if you scroll down a bit, you will see a CTA. What's a CTA? CTA is call to action, which is like a marketing piece in your design. I don't know if I if I said that correctly, but yeah, basically what a CTA does is it provides you with an action, with an interactive element, through which a user can interact with it and it would do certain action. There's a download app of function here and there's a join now. If I click on join now, it will take me to this page where you buy the cohort, right? So this is what a CTA does. It provides you with buttons. Of course, this website the landing page didn't have a lot of content, so I had to fill in some, placeholder content. Of course, this part wasn't necessary, but I felt like it looked good with project.100xsteps.com, so I added it anyway. So for now, in our website as well, we'll be needing a navigation bar, a hero section, and a CTA, and a footer. This is a footer, by the way. A footer is going to have a links across your website or a links you want to share with the user. Then some more links. Then yeah, basically footer is going to have all the links summarized into a single piece. There's footer. So we got this. We got the idea that we need a navigation bar at the top. We need a hero section and we need a footer. I hope I'm going at a good pace. Okay, can we do a poll if everything's good and we can start designing? Yeah, everyone's doing yes. No. Well, that's quick. Okay, we got 10 minutes. Let's do a design sprint here, guys. So I'll be explaining you guys what I'm gonna do. So I like the name 100x Cancer. I'll add that. I hope Kirat Bhaiya doesn't get mad at me for doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. So, oops, where did that post? 100x Cancer. AK Bhaiya, should we do it or should I rename it to something? Zuba Cancer is also. Don't get me fired. Let's do Zuba Cancer. This is like a good tagline, but Bimal. Let's call it Bimal. There's no racial intention behind that. Don't cancel me on Twitter or something. I'm just using that because that sounds fun. Okay. Let's use Manro. I love Manro. There's Manro. Oh, we need to use a color palette, right? Let's go to one of our resources which I've used. Let's go down here. Let's go to UI Colors app. And if I go HSL and I want a orange shade, so I'll put it here. I want orange shade, right? And I want the orange to look something like this. Yeah, this looks good. This fits perfectly with Vimal. Okay. So we'll take this. Okay. I don't think I have that such a thing. Okay, let's take this and I'll introduce extension to you guys. So if I go to plugins and manage plugins, there's a if you use this plugin, Tailwind Color Generator. This is the one. This is the one. If I run this, so this is a really good plugin if you're using if you use Tailwind in your projects. So if I just copied the hex code from this website, I copied it. I copied it, and if I go to Figma and I paste this code here, it's gonna generate the same color palette from there. It's gonna have same thing. FE, F6, double E, FE, F6, double E. Yeah, it's gonna have the same thing. So you could just pick any of these create styles or create variables. We'll just call it Cancel color. Let's create styles, and boom, you have Cancel color styles over here. So that's gonna be our branding for today. And what you can do is if you select apply styles and variables, you'll have all the colors, all the variables which you have selected over here. And let's put this as 50 and say color red, and it looks fine. And background, let me change that to 100. We want it to look like this. It looks bad. Also, design is a very uh trial and error game. Trial and error game. I think you need to have patience while designing. If you are sprinting, I think we need to be a bit faster, but you need to have a lot of iterations while designing something. So we are using Bimal as our logo for now. Let's do it, Bimal. This looks better. Then if I shrink it further, it would look more like a logo because I don't think user would read this. So I think this looks cool. If we increase that to 32. Also try to use multiples of four dimensions. That's how basically that's easier for the system to render multiples of 4. And okay, in Figma, there's a feature called as auto layout. It works the same as Flexbox in CSS. So there's a button here called as use auto layout. If I click that, you notice that has just simply centered that text. That's pretty neat and pretty simple. It has added padding automatically. It has added uh padding, yeah, X padding or Y padding. It has given you gap. If you have used Figma Flexbox before, you would know this. And you could align the text. If I align this here, it works perfectly. And now, let's add a grid to the frame. If you notice here, there's a layout grid option here. If I add a grid, it's gonna add a proxy grid. I don't use this. If you are trying to create something pixel related, very pixely, let's say pixel design art, pixel art, then you could use this grid. But while UI designing, people usually use columns, and we set margins at the end. For this resolution desktop, you could use 100. Yeah, 100 works fine for this. 100, and for mobile, you use another grid layout, do it columns, and you use 16 margin for this, 16 at the ends, and 20 works for this. What gutter is the gap between these two columns. And do this, if I do it to 14, it just reduces, but 20 is good. 20 works fine for it. Now, we have a navigation bar ready. We have the logo on the left side. We'll be having some content on here. So for that, you can just disable the grid from here. There's a shortcut as well, but I'll just do it for you guys. I think it's Control Shift 4. Oh, it's opening Zoom. Yeah, it's Control Shift 4 in Mac. I think it's also Control Shift 4 in Windows, if I recall. Then if I want to reduce the size 200 because I want this to be right around the grid. Could make this 12 actually. We could increase the number of columns as well. If I do this 12, it's going to increase 12, but 6 would be fine. Now, I just want my entire content to be inside this frame, this set of columns. I think that would make the design look a bit cleaner. Next, we need to create a bunch of navigation items here, bunch of links in the nav bar. Then let's say we call it one should be home. Now, because I was designing a logo, I have reduced the tracking, which is letter spacing. But because we want the user to be able to read this part, we just need to, turn that down a bit, increase the letter spacing. You could do -1, reduce the font weight to regular, reduce the font size to 16, and add it back here. So if you notice, I'll just change that color to black or the lowest in the tone. Now it's having a gap of 10 pixels here. If I do that to auto, which is similar to Justify between in Tailwind or CSS in vanilla CSS as well. So now I'll just duplicate this. You can use Control D to duplicate it. I've created 2 of this. I'll just again do auto layout for this. If I do auto layout, this is just together again. I want a gap of 16 pixels between these two. And if I use hug content, these two, the width of this component, if you notice here, there's a frame created here. Sorry, a frame 2, this is the frame. This frame, the width of this frame will be equal to the number of components inside it and the gap including, and it also includes a gap in between them. So that's how hug works. And fill container, what it will do is it will just fill, it will just make the width equal to the entire section, entire remaining section of the parent frame. So the frame 1 is the parent frame, then you have the child frame, which is frame 2. But for now we need hug content, and we'll just do it hug content. And I don't think we need 4 of these, we'll just remove one of them. It's gonna be about section. We'll just use placeholders for now. About, contact, and apply. This is gonna be a CTA. So I'll be designing a button now. It's pretty easy. Just apply another auto layout on top of this. You just need to use Control Shift A. Just, add a shift, sorry, yeah. You just need to do Shift A. Click Shift and A, and there's another frame created. I'll just name that to button. And if I add a padding of 4 and 4 and make it hug content, and this also needs to, okay, so the problem here is the text inside does not have hug content. It's having a fixed width. So the text is gonna overflow and come to the next line. So to fix that, we will be using hug content to text as well. So now we have a bit of padding, but I feel like we need a bit of more padding. Let's do 8 and 4. That works. And if I add a fill, you notice there's a fill behind. I'll just remove the grid columns. Okay, yeah. So there's buy now. And if I change the color of this to a branding color, which is orange, and the text color to white for contrast reasons. How many of you guys are still here? It's 4:50 down. Okay. So I think it would be looking better. The button would look better if we had a rounded border around it. So let's do a bit rounding on the edges. Let's make it 16. Okay, 16 looks a bit more rounded, but I think it looks good. And the padding would be better. 12 and 6. That looks better. The navigation bar could be smaller. We could do it 20. And hub content as well. This should be full. Now we have a pretty cool navigation bar. Pretty simple, but a pretty cool, and it follows, what law was it? Fick's law? Jacob's law. It's familiar. Okay. Now, what did we plan for the hero section? We planned that we would be having, we will be having Ajay Devgan on the left side, so on the right side, and some text on the left side. So let's create some text first. Here, I will write Subha Cansari. Now we need to create some hierarchy over here. So for creating hierarchy, I'll be making the text extra bold, and we could do it to -3 because text is smaller, and I'll be increasing the size to, I don't know, 42. We could do it even more bigger. 64 works. 64 looks better. And if I align this to this side and make it, let's add some coolness to it and make it orange. And make this part as our primary color. 150. Okay, we have a cool Zuba Cansari hero text. This text is called a hero text. You have a Zuba Cansari hero text. Then do we have any more text here? Bhagwan said, okay. Now we need to create another text component, which is gonna be subheader. So for subheader, we'll be using medium font size, and it would be 32. And I'll be increasing the letter spacing to -1. And let's leave that to 120. And we'll be using dummy text, which is Lorem Ipsum. There's a website which generates Lorem Ipsum. You might ask, what's Lorem Ipsum, Keshav? Lorem Ipsum is Latin placeholder text. It's dummy text. It's gibberish. It doesn't mean shit. It might mean something in Latin, but I don't know Latin. So let's designers usually use this for placeholders. I'll just copy that. I think that would be pretty long. Yeah, that's pretty long. Let's reduce that. More you eat, soon you die. Okay, that's a good tagline. More you eat, sooner you dies. This could be a good Halloween vibe website. See, there's an idea we just got. We could add a pumpkin over here, and we would add a Vimal packet next to it. So if you notice, this text looks a bit weird to my eye because I have a design eye. I might say it, but you guys might think, oh, this looks good. But this text feels a bit big. I'll do that to 24, and this feels good. Why did I say that? If I go to prototype and I click to present, and it will open a screen where it will show you how the website would look if it was like an actual so this is how your website would look after you have done coding it. So if you notice, the text looks perfectly fine now. If I increase that to 32, which was a size before, it would look bigger and a bit weirder. It just looks a bit weird according to me. So you could, it's up to you, but I would say it should be smaller, and it looks fine now. The more you eat, sooner you dies. Okay, so we have a decision to make here right now. Choice 1, we could make the design as single columns. That is, we could have Zuba Kesari at the center, and we'll be having Ajay Devgan at the bottom. Or There's another iteration where Zuba Kesari is at the left and Ajay Devgan will be on the right. So first, let's find Ajay Devgan with Zuban Kesari. Well, there's a neat trick I just want to show to you guys. If you go on Google and search for images, if you click on tools and go to size, you can sort the images by the size of the image. So there's that you could do. This image looks good. You could crop him out from here. Copy image. If I go on Figma, paste him here. That's so there's a neat trick introduced in Figma recently. Oh, it's not here. Okay, Figma AI isn't here in the account. So let me do one thing. Let me go here and let's get let's crop him out. And there's a neat feature in Figma AI, latest Figma update. It helps cropping you out, removes the background from the image. So I cut, crop him out. I go back, I paste here. So you have Ajay Devgan here. So he would be here. I know the picture quality is a bit crappy, but we are making a parody website. Oops. Okay, now the catch here is this looks pretty weird and bad. This looks like a design made by a 2-year-old. So we'll look for Vimal Pan Masala and we'll, oh my God. Yeah. We just need to find for some PNG image. This looks good. Let's copy this image. Just kidding. No, bro, I don't want to get in trouble. That would be pretty dangerous. Just notice what look at what AK is saying here. Somebody clip that. Oh shit. Anyways, let's focus on designing. AK who? AK-47. Okay. I mean the design is pretty scuffed, I know guys, but I need some time with it. This is how the design process looks like. It's pretty boring, but the end result should be good. So if you say why I use this here, it's because the image looks cropped. And if I use this here, it hides the croppingness of the image. It's like a curtain to hide your faults with the background. This is one proposition. This is not the final design. I'm just giving you guys an idea how you could do it. And this is another decision we could do. If you're doing this, we wouldn't need this part. And we could just do this. Zuba Kesari. And let's use a gradient in the background. If I use fill. And if I use gradient in the background, let's use a similar gradient as this. Range website बनाए or should let's make a clean UI. This looks pretty crappy. You know what? Probably we're needing a CTA. Now, if from a UX user UI perspective, this button is not pretty good with contrast. It blends with the background, so we would need to change the color of the background of the button. We'll make it white and we'll change the text to black or something, or darker shade. So now we have a new button, which is cooler, which is better in contrast. And let's increase the size a bit. So for increasing the size of a component in Figma, you could click on K and it will lead you to scale. And I want it to be of with 120 pixels, and it should be looking like this. And if I center align it, I think this could be a potentially good website, okay? 100x cancer. Then, okay, this looks good. We could add some Kesar at the behind. Let's look for some Kesar PNG. That's not good. That's not good. Okay, this but oh my god, it looks pretty bad. Okay, so this is how the website would be. It's pretty simple design. I don't want to go into in depth, but Zuba is it would sell your product. I think so. Uh, because the time's running out, I'm a bit panicking and I don't wanna take a lot of your time, guys. So let's do it for the mobile, and I'll try to add a few things in the design by tomorrow, and I will discuss on why I made this essential. So let's copy the fill. I just copied this, click on the fill, copied it, click on the mobile frame, pasted that, it just copied the same color background for it. Now I'm copying the navigation, I just copied it. I'm clicking on option for Mac users and alt for Windows users. I copied that, and now we are gonna delete this and make the width for this to 375, which is the uh width for our mobile version. And we're going to change the padding, text padding from 100 to 60, which is also the width, the padding which we are using for our mobiles. And this should go at the top by now. And we'll be needing a icon, a hamburger menu. The icon is called a hamburger. Let's use hero icons. It's like a pretty cool library of icons. There's hero icons. You can have also have Iconoid. Iconoid is good. Let's use Iconoid. Menu. We'll just copy the SVG and we just need to paste it here. Here, auto. Sorry, not. Yeah, I'll just move it to auto layout. Let's make it the same color as our brandings. So expand. Okay, then we get this and we'll also copy that. Now we need to reduce the size a bit. We need to make it 42. Let's try 42. 42 looks good. And also reduce the size for this, 375. Center it. Okay. Now, if you recall, I mentioned something about 16 being a good size for all the devices. You could use 16 here, but it will mess up with the hierarchy if you have more content in your body, and you might use 16 over there. So let's use 18 here for representing a good hierarchy. So the hero is ready. We just need to add this button back. and boom, this guy. Oops. There you go, guys. You have your Bimal Pan Masala web page. I'll just disable this and I'll show you guys how it looks the, as an end product. Let's go to the slideshow. Presenting mode. There you go. Zuba Kesari. Cancel. That's pretty scuffed, but we'll make it work pretty good by adding some interactions. We could do hover effect on this. We could make this guy pop up from below, or we could add some Kesar showering from the top. I'll plan that and we could have a go at it. I think we should end the class, or do you guys have any doubts? Or we could do a 5 minutes doubt session and we could end that. Doubt session. Do you understand? What do you think, AK? Should we do a doubt session or should we end it here?
I guess we'll do some quick doubts. We'll open chat for,
Okay,
and then let's wrap it up.
perfect. Design तो मैंने ऐसी बनाई है. Don't judge me on this. I'll share also a good code. Don't get too attached to your design. If someone gives you a review, take it as a positive feedback and work from that review. If you get too attached with your design, it will be bad from a business perspective, and you just won't be getting more users for your website. You need to be less biased with your design. That's a tip from my side. That's what I am learning recently by working uh, with my work and stuff. That's a good tip to have as a beginner designer. Initially, we get too attached with the design, and we get really offended by when someone says, "Oh, you have a bad design," and it used to piss me off a lot. But you need to understand that design is subjective, and whatever you design, it's good from your perspective, but the other person might not like it. So you need to make sure of that. Let's let the doubts come in. Let the doubts flow in. No doubts. Okay, okay. अरे अरे अरे. Keshav, please review. Give a tutorial on Figma. Please add a dive now button instead of Vino. Okay, that's a good one. Close कर देते हैं अभी. Let's say. Bro, don't say Zuba Kesari. My father is saying पान मसाला खाना सिखा रहा है क्लास में. Oh shit. अंकल नहीं सिखा रहे, ये तो बस ऐसी पैरोडी कर रहे हो. डिजाइन सिखा रहे हैं. डाइनो. डाइनो बटन डन. ये ऊपर लगा. डाइनो बटन डन. Sorry, uncle. Yes, ke papa, we are not sikhaying pan masala khana, but it's a parody website. Right now, the button feels a bit too empty. I get stuck here how to fill white space just enough. So wait a bit, we don't know Figma. Explain you and saturation, please. Anyway, you could. I'll try to explain that a bit more in tomorrow's class. How's the design for this? We'll do a review session in tomorrow's section. How to learn to use Figma. We read it pretty fast. Okay, so there's a YouTube channel called as Design Course. I think he still does Figma tutorials or not. I learned from that guy. It's Design Course. Let me bring it up from a different tab. Okay, anyways, I'll share that with you guys tomorrow. It's Design Course on YouTube. How did you put the gradient in the background? And please give us some Notion docs or something of all the resources you go. Okay, so for gradient, I just used, if you select the frame here, there's a fill option, right? If you click on the fill, there are 4 options up top. You could use a solid color, you could use a linear gradient or a radial gradient. There are 2 types of gradients. Radial gradient works like this. I mean, two ones which you use, angular gradient, diamond gradient. So we are using a linear gradient. There are two colors which you choose in a linear gradient and you move on from there. You could add a image in the background, or you could add a video or something. It's a new feature, video. So we are using a gradient, right? So that's how we add a gradient. Yeah, I'll be sharing the resources with you guys tomorrow. Any idea on how to choose the size of the font for hero or for the nav and the button? Size of the font, I shared a resource with you guys, I guess. It's in the typography section. Type scale. This will help you with selecting the size. So if you click on pixel here, you have a pixel options. So I'm using 64 pixels in our design, the Bimal design, but 48 is good. But it comes down to your personal preference. You could use anything you want. This is just for reference. This is how hierarchy works and this that. Why do we need CSS and HTML when we have this Figma stuff? Okay, CSS and HTML helps you in making your design interactive. So the bridge between design, front-end design and front-end development is adding interactivity to your design, if that makes sense. I'll be discussing that. There's a topic in the sites I've created, and I'll be explaining that to you guys next. What a hero section should include in a portfolio site? Okay, that's a really good question. A hero section should include a gist of what you do and what are your plus points, and what's your selling point. Basically, a portfolio website is a sponsor, an advertisement website of yourself. You're basically selling yourself on your website. So a portfolio should include everything which would help you sell yourself. I know that sounds bad, but that's how it should be. Please check this again, guys. We'll do a UI review tomorrow. Bistro. Okay, this is a really good website. Pretty clean, pretty cool white space usage. Love it. I love it. Yeah, this is pretty cool. I mean, if you have made this, damn bro. I feel like this is a framer template, or if it's not a framer template, then fair play. Love it. You have a great design eye. I mean, everything looks great. I don't want to be too critical in my first class, but it looks perfect to me. Yeah, looks great. Okay, let's move on. How do you get the theme in your Tailwind CSS code? Okay, so I'm using a plugin here. If you right click in Figma and go to plugins, and if you go manage plugins, you can search here. So the plugin is Tailwind CSS color generator. So if you open this plugin, you will be getting a window similar to this. It could randomize the colors. It works similar to the website I shared earlier. UI colors. It works similar to this website where you randomly generate a few colors, and there will be a color palette, and you would basically, you can see how it looks on the website, but with the plugin, you'll be just getting the palette, and the palette will be added in your design file here, color styles. Please now added I would put it. Okay, this is done. How is the design for this tutorial? I think I can share a tutorial for you guys tomorrow. What is I will banner image behind the others. कल करते हैं. Slow it a bit. We don't. Okay. चलो यही repeat हो रहा है. I think those were some good questions, and I would love to get some feedback from you guys. You could tag me on Twitter if you enjoyed the class. If you want me to improve in some sections, you could just DM me. DMs are open. And if you want me to include something else from uh, in the next class, or you want some more resources, or if you would like me to have more classes, just DM me. And I hope you guys enjoyed today's class. I hope you guys Got to learn something today new. Learn something. Yeah, I don't know what's wrong with me. I just too worked up. Okay, I think that's all for today's class. Close the code generator. Okay, sorry. Okay. I think that's all for today's class. I hope you guys enjoyed today's class, and do let me know if you guys want to learn something new, something more in next class. You have the documentations, you have the slides for tomorrow's class. It's pretty basic. We'll be just coding. It's gonna be a front end coding tomorrow, and we'll be learning how to translate the designs we have done in the next class. Translate the mockups into code and best practices and semantic, making it accessible, adding semantic tags, etc. And the next half of tomorrow's class would be adding web interactions, that is micro interactions, animations, etc. So it could be an interesting class. I hope to see you guys in tomorrow's class. Thanks, guys. Those were some good comments. See you tomorrow. Have a great night, everyone. Have a great Saturday. See you guys tomorrow. Bye.